the rush that was I can't remember what it was called. It was like informal. It was in January, and I pledged Pi Phi. It's funny because when I went home and told my father, he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so great!" And he was so excited. And my aunts were, three of them were Gamma Phis, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we're so excited you went Pi Phi." And it was kind of exciting start to my college career. And then some of you know, when I was then when active, I was a scholarship chairman because we were the pledges and the I wish CC was on here. The pledges and the actives were last and next to last in scholarship. So I got to be scholarship chairman then and tried to do everything I can to actually not have our charter pulled. It was kind of a rough time. And then I became vice president after that. So it was really a good experience. And I think one reason I've been so involved in Pi Phi is that I really realized the leadership skills that I developed as a kid really helped me when I got into the business world. There's something phenomenal about being when you're 18 or 19 to be talking to I don't know if they have Dean of Women anymore.
What's that?
Do they have Dean of Women anymore?
No, just one Dean of Students now.
Okay. Back then, it was Dean of Women, so you would go in, and when you did something that the university didn't like, you would go in and lead the case. So I found that was like super great experience because then when I got into the business world, I could utilize those skills even with negotiating with the United Auto Workers. So it was kind of good. But after school, I did some of you do know, and I hate to repeat myself, but all of you don't know my background. So hopefully you'll let me do this a little bit. But I did a double major. I did Norton School, as did Heather, was one of her majors. And then College of Education, minor in English. And then after I got out, a couple years, I did a master's in environmental science at University of Texas at Dallas. Started my business career as an environmental scientist in an asbestos mine, and then went through all kinds of different corporate jobs and went back at night to do my MBA in finance. So that was kind of my business career. And then I ended up being the CEO of Navistar Financial Corporation in Chicago with an $8 billion portfolio. So that was four Fortune 500 companies, and I ended up in a pretty good, obviously good position. And then I tried to retire, and I completely failed. I starting businesses, and the one that really took off was iCalc. Matt is laughing at me. Can you guys see his face? Okay, Matt. It was kind of funny when I failed retirement. But what I did is I then used all the things I had learned from being a kid, being in 4 different corporations. I utilized all that in starting a business. Started iCalc, and the idea was really originally from the 2007 Ebola epidemic, where a doctor noticed that absolutely nothing was working except for the smartphone. And he had the idea, like, what if we could take a smartphone and read medical diagnostic tests? So that was really the idea that started iCalc. And we spent the next 6 years really developing the technology, had 7 patents, did generation 1, 2, 3, turn a kind of a rapid prototype ugly black object into a actually really nice medical device. So in 2018, then we started really transforming. I bought out my partner, and we started transforming it into a business, a really business with trying to market and pick our products. So that's a little bit of the background. This year started out, and I was so excited because we had an $11 million with, I can say the name because you guys are, your family. We had $11 million contract with Abbott India, supposed to launch on May 25th, which is World Thyroid Day. So we're going to launch our thyroid stimulating hormone test. And we started putting in all the working capital, which is very expensive because the mold is $68,000, and then you start building all the different things and paying all the engineering bills. So the upfront costs are really huge. So we're getting ready to do that. And all of a sudden in March, as you know, COVID-19 hit and India shut down, and we all quit traveling. And the country really shut down. I don't have to tell you all how your individual lives have changed. So at that point, it was really like that. It was, honestly, it was pivot or perish. It was like, okay, we're going to die. We can't do this. Our whole plan is completely wrong. So I have a physicist in Utah. He's PhD physics, University of Utah, runs a lab there. And I said, hey, Randy, could we read COVID-19 tests? And so, because we had a generic app that you'd put in the analyte, like pneumonia, flu, whatever, and then it would, you'd put in the measurement and so forth. So we knew we had the basics set up. So he went online, bless his heart, and he immediately read COVID-19 strips from China on his computer. He just used our device, put it literally on the screen, and read the test. And at that point, and he read them with accuracy. We knew, like, at that point, for sure, we could read COVID-19 tests. So in the interim, what we've been doing is just scrambling because we want to have IgG, IgM tests, but we want to not just do the basic yes, no that a lot of the tests have had. I don't know how many of you have had a COVID-19 test? Sally, who else? Sally has one. Anybody else? Okay.
My daughter had one.
Oh, your daughter had one. Excellent. Okay, very good. Good. So we decided that we absolutely had to get into the space because we have 7 patents on a device that you slide a smartphone into and watch an app is loaded, and then you take the test strip. It has a bit of the biological fluid, blood, saliva, urine, whatever. In this case, it's serological, so it's blood. And you put the blood on there, put a chase buffer, and then you slide it into the reader on the phone, and you wait 10 minutes, and then you have a quantitative COVID test. So what that means is that rather than telling you, it does tell you yes, no. It tells you if you have it or not, but it also quantifies your antibodies. And that will tell you that you may have made a super healthy person. And you're like, oh, I didn't have a fever. I didn't really feel bad. But all of a sudden you get the exam and you find out how many antibodies you have and you go, yeah, I had it. So you may have actually carried it to your family or whatever, but it gives you a lot of your history. And all the experts and medical experts right now are having a debate whether if you're carrying the antibody, you have immunity or not. And I don't know that. I have had, because we have research, we all go in and get tested everywhere. It's just what we do. It's like, not that we just want to like get our finger pricked or anything, but we do testing so that we can test against our tests. And I have been tested twice, and I'm definitely negative, and I have no antibodies, which is actually a little concerning, and I'm still wearing my mask everywhere because I have no immunity to the virus. So that was really good for me to know that I shouldn't take like chances on it. So what we're doing right now, so that's our test. We have a couple other tests. I won't go into them because they're probably not as exciting right now as COVID-19 is. But what we're doing is, one, we're working with Grand Canyon University on a plan for them to start up in July. They have 25,000 students here, and then they have around 80,000 outside of Phoenix. So we're working with them and their faculty to see if we can design a testing program for them where we can test everybody coming back to campus and know that everybody going into a dorm, classroom, anywhere is virus free. And then if they are tested with the virus, they have a hotel there. So they're going to move the positive students into the hotel. They also want to test, like, if you're doing the milk delivery for the school, is the driver carrying the virus in, or is the virus or is the individual driving virus free? And then they also want to test, like, if they have visiting athletic teams, so that they come in and before they actually play a game against the school, they would test, trainers, the athletes, the coaches, and everybody, so that when they went onto the field or into the gym, they would all be clear. So we're working with them. And then today I was also on the call with University of North Texas that wanted to do the same thing. So we're talking to them. And then I thought Cece might be on the call, but I don't think she's on yet. But we also have a call from somebody that has 50,000 customers that have dental clinics. And these doctors have, I don't know how many average patients they have yet because I haven't gotten the statistics, but they want to be testing all the people within the dental clinic that they're virus free. And then when you or I walk up and we're waiting to see the dentist or the hygienist, we would have a test. Again, it's like blood prick, alcohol wipe blood prick. In less than 10 minutes, you know if you have the virus, so that you are actually known to be virus free before the dentist opens your mouth and start working with you. And I know that they wear masks, but you can get it through your eyes. There's lots of different entry points for the virus apparently. So they want to do that. And then the other one we're working on right now, we have a lot of projects. So I don't want to tell you them all, but I think you're going to get the gist of what we're doing. We also have a assisted living. They have 100,000 residents, and they wish to test, of course, not just every resident, every person working there. And then at the point where they actually would have visitors, they would be testing visitors, because you don't want, have me visit my Aunt Agnes and all of a sudden I bring the virus in to the facility. So I get where they're going from, because this is a very risky population. If you're in assisted living, you're typically older and have a health problem. So that's what I'm doing. And it's, we had this conversation in January. I would have had a whole different conversation with you, but that's what I'm doing. So I switched from my original degree, which was useful in that as an undergrad, I had lots of math, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, all those things that helped me get my master's in environmental science. And also STAT courses helped me get my MBA in finance. So those things are all things I use right now, because I work with a lot of scientists that are, quite honestly, they're MDs and PhDs. So they're definitely more educated than I am, but just having a master's in science is helpful to me. And then having an MBA in finance is good. So that's what I've been doing. And then in my spare time, Matt knows I've been trying to assist with the fundraising for the house expansion and upgrade. I guess it's really more of it's like a huge upgrade and expansion. But and the reason for that is not that I have so much free time, but that when I look back to me as a little 18-year-old going into college, I look at, like, I studied hard and I was relatively intelligent, but the things I learned along the way at the school and within Phi really helped me excel in my career. So that's, I just feel strongly about giving back. So that's my quick one. That's like 22 minutes. Wow, I am fast. Let's have how about a conversation, Matt?
I'm going to unmute everybody so you can ask questions. I'm going to start with the first question. So Pam, who does the testing for like each of these places? So if you're doing it at Grand Canyon, who can carry out the test?
We will do with them is, first of all, we shoot a video that will go to all the students, and then the students will know what to do. The concept is we'll send like a padded envelope with the test strip, alcohol wipe, a lancet, instructions, and of course a Band-Aid, because you want a sterile Band-Aid, even with a little finger prick, you wish to do that. And then we will have the students plan is to have the students do the first test. And then what they will do is they will simply take their smartphone and they will photograph the test strip and send it back to us. And we'll be able to see very quickly if they have a positive or negative result. And then if they've given us a really good test, we'll be able to pick up the antibodies. If they don't give us a good test, we'll still know if they're positive or negative. And then on campus, the second part is when we get to campus, if anybody has a temperature or any kind of shortness of breath, losing their sense of smell, their taste, all the different things you might have, then they have, Grand Canyon has 1,500 RNs that did their did their AA, but they're going back for their RN. So these people are all completely capable and allowed to do blood draws, even though we just have a finger prick. They can do the finger prick and they can actually read the test. So we will use then their staff on campus. People come to campus, they can do the secondary testing.
Great. Anybody else have questions?
Yes, I do. Pam, first of all, I hope you can hear me.
I can hear you, Heather, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. So first, I really want to congratulate you. And from my point of view, you're just a phenomenally competent, hardworking person. And, you know, what you've done in your life has been a great inspiration and continues to be to me. And anyway, I mean, I think you walk on water. But a couple questions, and one is that I didn't hear which school you're working with first. So is it that Grand Canyon?
Yeah, it's Grand Canyon University, so it's a private Christian school. And the thing that's interesting is that whereas ASU has, I don't even know how many, 15 campuses, GCU is fairly contained. And they only have like about a dozen entrances onto the campus, so they can have people testing at every physical entrance. And then they have chain link fence around it, so that makes them kind of unique in this respect.
Okay. So then my second question is, and I know that typically to bring a testing meter or to bring a pharmaceutical product to market is a very, very long period of time. And I know you've been involved in it for a very long time. What have you seen with respect to the reaction in the community to your being able to have the license to be able to go ahead and sell this and use it around the world?
Yeah, that's a really good question. The first thing we did is we already had a CE mark from the EU. So we already had for TSH. So we had a CE mark for TSH, which means we could sell in any of the European Union countries. And then there's a whole bunch of Asian countries that don't have their own FDA equivalent. So they accept the CE mark. So we then do, as soon as we found out that we could get a test and start doing testing, then we got a CE mark for the test. So right now we could sell in a lot of the world. Then what the FDA has done, which is really smart, because generally honestly, it takes you years to get through the FDA. And it's like, you've heard all the stories, but what they've done, is really smart. They have something called EUA. It's an emergency use authorization. And we still have to send data in, and we still have to fill out a lot of things. But once they look at it, they cut like 2 years off, and they give you an emergency use authorization. And then after COVID-19 is over, we could then apply for our regular FDA clearance on a 510K. It's really good, and that's the one thing that's good that's happened with the country, that we can get tests out more quickly. And for all of us that need a test done and don't want to do one of the standard tests that takes 2 to 4 weeks, whatever, or doesn't want to do the nasal swab up your nose, which I haven't had, but I've heard it's really uncomfortable. So it's good. It's good that our government has done this. It really helps us a lot.
So does that mean then that you're up and running to start, or are you still in kind of the testing mode with respect to the country?
That's a good question, because we actually got a different test today, because the tests we were getting with an EUA out of Switzerland were about $20 a test, our cost. And then by the time it would go to the schools, it would be so much more expensive. So we found a test today that looks like it's really good quality. So we're going to take it through the EUA again, and that's out of Korea. And we're also taking, I mean, this is like painful to say, but we're going to take another test through with an EUA next. And that's the test out of San Diego. And that, our TSH and salivary cortisol tests have been made in San Diego. And the lab we know is really, really good. And they have good results. So as soon as we can get enough tests, we're going to take their tests through, really for 2 reasons. First of all, the way the borders have started to shut down, you really don't want a test, for sure not coming out of China. China has, I don't know if you know this, but they've really put the brakes on not just protective equipment, but also testing. So they're not, that's a whole political thing that will come out somewhere. They're holding a lot of the things that we need as a country at their border. So we don't want that. And then the second thing then is we always want two belts and suspenders. We always want a backup. We want our backup to be in USA. And then because I'm in Phoenix, and then I'm in Catalina in the summer, San Diego I can get there like in 5.5 hours to where this particular lab is. So you can go hands-on, look at their test results, look at what they're doing, and you can be really, really confident they're doing a good job. So that's really helpful. So that's what we're probably taking right now, sounds crazy, but we're probably taking 2 tests through the FDA right now. And we have one already that's approved, so that's not a problem. It's twice the cost, and we don't feel that schools and the people should be gouged because of the need. And it's, I understand we've all probably taken economics, and we know that we understand how people price when there's a really low volume. But we don't think that that's right, because it's going to keep a lot of people from being tested. So that's just a personal belief of mine. It's not the belief of every testing company, but that's how I'm wired. Other questions? Thank you, Heather.
Certainly.
Gail? I think, Gail, you're muted. Let's see.
Oh, yeah, she is muted.
There
Yeah.
you go. Okay.
I think she's still muted. Gail?
Yeah,
Nope.
she is.
She is.
Gail, you have to unmute yourself by
Unmute yourself.
clicking that picture of a microphone.
That will do it.
Bottom left.
It might be her
left
bottom
of your
right.
screen.
Yeah.
Or
There's also a little square up at the top on some of these where it says unmute. Oh, can you look up at the top too and see if there's
Top
something
right.
else up there?
Top right.
Top right. Yeah, I think that's right. Oh, hi. How are you? This is great to see everybody. I love this.
Yeah.
It is great.
Cass.
Hi. Gail, are you using your mouse?
Gail, can you hear us?
If you're using your mouse,
Let me try that.
It's not
get
moving.
down to the bottom left.
She's
There you
on.
go. She's on.
She got
Okay.
it. Yay. All right,
Okay.
Gail. Hi.
Okay, go ahead, Gail.
Okay, let me get rid of that. I'm not seeing anything but a big Zoom sign.
We see you though. That's the best
We can
part.
see you, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, it's all that matters.
I like seeing you. But anyway, Pam, it strikes me as fascinating. There we were in the Norton College. Of course, I was ahead of you in consumer science. And here you pivoted into this amazing situation when the COVID virus came along. I think that's terrific. But I did want to tell you all that my husband and I just came from having an antibody test at our doctor's office. We don't know any results yet, but we wanted to find out. We've traveled a great deal in the third, fourth, and fifth world and lived, and we just thought we might have some immunity. We're hoping, of course. So, and then the next thing I want to know, you still with me, Pam?
I am. I hear you. I see you. Yeah.
Okay,
Talking.
great. And so I'm trying to understand how using the iPhone, and I understand that, you know, about the alcohol swab and the little thumb prick, but then what do they take a picture of?
Okay, that's a good question.
Okay, simple, but
Look at one of our tests. If you think of a pregnancy test, where you put a little bit of urine on a
it's
strip.
been a long time.
Okay. Well,
About 50 years.
well, basically, Gail, you'll be
Probably.
glad to know. Gail, you'll be glad to know that this strip chemistry was developed in the 70s and it hasn't changed. But we use blood, but the pregnancy test, you put a little bit of urine and it runs down and it gives you a plus or minus. So that's the basic of what our
Technology.
strips are.
Okay.
So our strips can be read with the naked eye, but we have, when you slide it into our reader, we actually magnify it, control the lighting, and then within the app, there's an algorithm that calculates the difference versus the control line, so we get a quantitative result. What we do is when we develop our tests, get the quantitative result, and then we have a third-party lab test against us so we can make sure we're completely calibrated. But the basic, you just think pregnancy test, you have the basic chemistry that's happening here.
Okay, and so the test is in
Okay,
the
Linda.
script.
Okay, Linda Mack is drinking red wine, and she has the necklace on that I bought after she wore it. Make sure you show that to everybody.
Archie Pepper Pike.
It is, yes. I saw
I
Lyndon.
know her. I'm from Cleveland. That's so funny.
Marja Pepper Pike. Yeah, she's
And I'm-
terrific. Okay, so
And I'm
everybody,
East Coast too. That's why I'm drinking.
here you go. It's magnetic. When I totally destroyed my elbow, was in surgery for 6 years and couldn't do anything that had a catch. Found this, and I've gotten more compliments about this than anything real I have, and it's very reasonable. So if anybody wants the name, just send me an email. I will send you her contact information, and just tell her you want one like Linda Mack and Pam Turbeville.
Yes, and I saw Linda, and it had been a while in Chicago, and she walked up, and I'm like, okay, tell me about that necklace. So, okay, I know we're talking careers in science, but jewelry is always really important. So, good.
You got to have a left brain and a right brain, right?
You do, and I see that all the Midwest girls are drinking red wine, so we're a little behind you here, but
It's still clear.
oh, Nancy's there too. Okay, well,
He's got clear, something clear.
Gin and tonic.
I
There
have
you go.
water. I have water since I'm supposed to be relatively responsible in this call. Do you guys have other questions or observations about
Can you-
anything?
Can you hear
Nancy?
me?
Hi.
Nancy,
To help me understand the difference between being, having antibodies showing up and being asymptomatic.
Okay. If you're asymptomatic, you walk in and they actually went to, this is interesting. One of the tests I did, I went to ArcPoint Labs, and they said, like, are you at least 7 days post asymptomatic, never symptomatic, or so forth. So they ask you these questions. So when I walked in, of course, they take your temperature, and I was 98 degrees. So I was below 102 degree threshold. So probably had no infection. And they asked you, you have a cough, shortness of breath, have you lost your sense of smell? You go through all the different symptoms you might have. Oh, Pat has joined us. This is even better.
Sorry, this is Bo. He's they're doing a major project in my building.
We probably, Dee Dee, we probably need to have one of these calls with all of our pets later, because you have cool
there
pets.
you go.
So anyway, they go through all these symptoms with you, and I went, no. So I was asymptomatic. I had no symptoms whatsoever.
Okay.
I was just getting the test for background. And then the antibodies, and that's another good question. You get like, again, like just thinking the pregnancy test, it's yes, no. But you don't know if there's any antibodies. You just know that you haven't hit the threshold for positive and you're far enough down that you're negative. But what can happen is you get the antibodies. You can say, Nancy, see from your antibodies, even though you didn't have symptoms, you must have had the virus.
Okay.
So they're able to tell you that. And there's a big debate going on within medicine that if you have antibodies, you may have a lot of immunity or protection. You're not quite sure, but it's probably realistically most people, that would be pretty good. If you have immunity, if you have antibodies and you've had it, you're less likely to have it again.
Well, my brother did get COVID, and he was fine. He had a very low-level case, but he's now contributing, antibodies for hopefully
Plasma, yeah.
create a
Plasma, yeah.
cure.
And they've
So,
had some really good results. People that have had the virus donating plasma, it's really jump-started people getting well. So it's a good thing that he's doing that, because he will be making somebody else get healthy so much faster. So that's an excellent thing to do.
well, I will tell you that anyone I know, including my brother who did get it, will tell you that it's the first time in their life that they thought they could die from the flu. that it really does just knock you flat. And, it's not something anyone wants. So I applaud what you're doing there. It's fabulous. Yeah.
Well, I've heard the same thing. Some people have it, they don't have anything happen, and other people think, well, they end up on ventilators, even if they're not really old. So
I have a
if he-
friend who's younger than us in New York, got it in Vail on a ski trip.
Mhm.
At least that's the only way they could figure it out, or on the airplane.
Yeah.
40 days in an induced coma on a ventilator.
Wow.
Did survive. They didn't think he would. And he is young. He's younger than us, in phenomenal shape, runner, lost 40 pounds, which he couldn't afford to lose. And I mean, picture of health, worked out and everything else. So it can hit anybody. So he's now having to learn. I mean, he'll be in rehab for a year to learn how to speak and do a lot of things over again, but he did survive. But this is a young, healthy, very healthy person who was in great shape. So you just don't know. I mean, you just don't know.
Knock on wood, that we're all sitting here healthy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Can you imagine with the testing, like at the fraternity houses when we're checking the co-eds for their ID to get into the fraternity party, that we say, okay, now you need to take your COVID-19 test before you can come into our facility.
Well, not only that, but kids want to have friends, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
social distancing and masks do not exactly lend themselves to romance.
They are projecting right now the craziest social scene that they've ever seen on the college campus is what they're predicting right now, because all the high school seniors did not get their proms. Everybody didn't get their last semester, so they're really concerned about. We were already very social. It's going to even be more social.
Well, the best thing I've seen so far are the inner tubes that they, put walker legs on in bars.
Yeah, right. And they have to, right, exactly. I saw that. That was funny.
I think that's cute, but you do think, Matt, to your point, you think of sleeping porches, and you really need to know that everybody in the sleeping porch is negative. Because one person coughing or sneezing could, honestly, I hate to say this, but they could send a virus. They could infect the whole room. Yeah, could happen.
No, that brings up my question, Pam, is that how often do you need to test? Because hypothetically, I could be tested now and I'm negative, but I go take a walk and I may wind up having caught something while I'm outside. So it's almost, how frequently do you need to test? I use the oximeter because, or oximeter, however you pronounce it, the thing you stick your finger in for your oxygen. Because some people have said that that may be one of the earliest signs that there's something going on. If your oxygen goes below 90, that you should call your doctor right away. That by the time you have a symptom, it may be too advanced. At least you may get very ill. You don't know whether you will or not. But yeah, the frequency of testing is the thing that's just very
challenging. That's an interesting point.
Nobody really, Linda, nobody really knows that. But I've had the oximeter every day. I've had to go to the doctor twice just for things scheduled, literally like last fall. And they did the oxygen test, and then they did the temperature. And of course, I was completely fine, but I knew that.
Yeah.
But what I would say is, you test first time you start to feel bad, immediately test it. I don't think you wait. I think if you know your own self and you know how you are, and all of a sudden you're not feeling right, and you think you might have a temperature, I'd get your temperature checked, and I would test things right away. Plus, I also I don't care if I'm a geek. I wear my mask everywhere.
I do too.
I Purell, and I went to I'm making shredded beef, so I had to go buy beer shredded beef, and I looked around Total Wine, and I was one of the two people that had my mask on. I said, well, it's their problem, not mine. But so I think you still have to be careful. I think we may very likely have a second wave. So I would just
I think that I'm in Chicago and I live downtown, as you know.
Yeah.
And I go out and it just infuriates me because I don't leave my front door without my mask on and my gloves, even though now they say gloves don't matter. But I always have the mask on. And I go outside, and because they've shut down all the beaches and the parks and everything, the only place you have to walk is on the sidewalk or the street. Yeah. But I swear 80% of the people I walk by are not wearing masks, and they're not social distancing, and the joggers are coming right by, and they're all on the sidewalk right next to you. So it's just, you know, it's just so many people are not taking it seriously enough. Or, you know, you're required to wear it to walk into the grocery store, like Jewel.
Mhm.
And I can't tell you how many people take it off as soon as they walk in. I mean, it's like they pass the security guy. And I'm like, so what's the point here? I mean,
Yeah.
they're just, I don't know, a lot of it's younger people. But,
Mm.
you know, the unfortunate thing is, obviously, if they're asymptomatic for 2 weeks, they could be infecting a whole lot of people.
Yeah.
And they don't know it. And, you know, anyway, that's the part that concerns me the most, are the people who aren't wearing the masks or taking it seriously or distancing.
If you listen to I think that's a really good point, because when you see that, they're impacting all the people around them. So I get that. But if you read like what you should do, you know, a lot of what you do, I know a lot of you you work out, you eat right, drink a lot of water, and those things actually, those health habits actually protect you. And
Yeah, I think they do.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think they do. I think we should all be eating more mud pies and stuff to build up immunities.
What about
No.
quinine water?
How about Clorox?
I was
A friend of mine, we did a Zoom happy hour, and everybody said, "So what's your drink?" This guy holds up a
Dee,
Clorox
you were
bottle.
trying to say something?
I was just wondering how we're going to have the people live at the Pi-Fi house.
Sharon, you want to talk?
1035.
I do at least a webinar a day, it seems like. And we're trying to set up right now a forum with all the other House Corps people on campus, so we can kind of set the narrative. We spent about 5 hours at the house last Saturday, Kim and Joe and I, and we think with social distancing, CDC guidelines, that we should not house more than 42. This next term, the house sleeps 54.
So that is using the sleeping porch.
Well, we would take a bunk bed out of each, we'd put a bunk bed in each room
Oh.
except one, and then for 12 rooms, a girl goes away. But they have 54 contracts. So what do you do? I mean, everything's in a couple of months. But several of the other houses at the U of A have sleeping porches, and that's what we want to talk to people about. We didn't even
There
have
is
a comprehensive list of people, so we're starting there from scratch.
one of the challenges. I think I was on a call yesterday with a bunch of people from around the world, and one of the challenges is the potential liability. If somebody does get sick, this is more about the work environment, but they referred us to this insurance thing that was written up there, or a thing written up by an insurance company about coming back to work, but it would blow your mind to read this stuff. So that's another frightening thing out there. It's just
The liability.
potential liability, but you know, how do you ever prove how you got it, where you got it? I mean, if you're asymptomatic for 14 days, you could have gotten it anywhere from anyone.
By the way, the insurance companies that have been presenting, that Sharon and I have been sitting in on all these calls, it's been interesting listening to the discussions on them. So first of all, at U of A, they're testing every student and faculty member to come back to campus. And then if you are sick, or you may have been exposed to somebody who's sick, you're getting sent to Babcock dorm. For anybody that remembers that, that's going to be an infirmary on the campus, basically kind of near the hospital. That's where they're going to send. But what we're hearing from the insurance companies is they're as much concerned about how we react when somebody gets sick. Because if we tell somebody, you need to get out of the house, and we've got contract law that they have a lease there. So it's a really complicated
Double-edged
process.
It's extremely complicated.
Yeah.
I was on a board call today, and we were talking about, even if we have events, even people that they're not living together, they're just going to a function, that they sign a release. And I mean, a lot of organizations are doing that. But the house, you have problems because you have, I'm not sure how young the people are, but you could have 17-year-olds.
They're not of
Probably,
age.
a lot of you probably started college when you were 17, so you're
Right.
underage. And then you have to have your mom or your dad sign a release that you can go to dinner at the Pi house. It's really very complicated. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I mean, a number of states have tried to take it. Well, who knows how it's going to work out. I mean, lawyers are lawyers, right? But, and people want to collect from somebody else if something goes wrong. But
Mhm.
a lot of people are trying to say that, you know, they have to absolve people of liability if they've really proved, if they've
Yeah.
really done, you know, best effort at trying to protect people. Nobody knows enough about this thing to know.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
nobody can really prove, you know, did I get it from you or did I get it from the person I passed in the elevator or down the street on the way in? You know,
Yeah.
there's no way to prove it. There's no DNA that's on you that tells you who gave it to you.
I guess there's two types of virus right now. There's the COVID-19 that came from Asia, and then there's the COVID-19 that came from Europe. But I haven't seen the data to show chemically or biologically how they look different. And I've been watching for that because I think that's eventually going to show up. But I think you're right. Did you get it walking to class, or did you, whatever? So it's going to be, we're going to be wrestling with this. And I'm sorry that because of what I'm doing, I guess it's pretty timely, but it's also pretty rough because we're all trying to live it and sort it out and have not a relatively nice life. But even though I can go out to eat in Scottsdale, and I have great restaurants all around me. I haven't done that yet. I've done carry out a couple times with my neighbors that are all like super healthy, super safe. And then we walk around my neighborhood, but my gym hasn't opened, which I really miss. But I know that what I like to do is I like hot yoga, which means that I'm sweating a foot away from somebody else. That's very dangerous.
Yeah.
I miss it, but I don't really want to take the risk that they are sick and they don't really know it. I think we have to just be not paranoid, but just be safe for a while until we really know how it's opened up. So there's Peggy. Hi, Peggy. Good to see you. Oh, this is so much fun to see faces like this, and this is great. This is good. I think, Dee Dee, we need to have one of these because you have really cool dog pictures. And Linda, your cat was darling. I think we need to have a Pi Pets. Just Matt, I mean, that's probably not like really.
That's an idea. I'll share that. Pi Pets. Bring your pet and your favorite drink.
Yeah, I would love
exactly.
that because
Happy hour with your pet.
maybe at some point we need to learn about like what's going on and more about the disease, but at some point we need to like support each other and have fun. So I think Pi Pets with beverage of your choice would be nice. Water, wine, whatever it happens to be. I have iced tea somewhere over here too.
And instead of bark in the park, it'd be something with Zoom. I mean, I'm thinking about the rhyme here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
No, good idea.
How do you bring a donkey into this?
I have to go. Goodbye, folks. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Good luck with your dog. Good luck with your
Thank
training.
you.
One last question. It's not in your bailiwick, but what do you hear? I mean, you're obviously very, very well connected in the space. What do you think is coming on the virus front? I mean, on the vaccine front?
I'm a member of American Association of Clinical Chemists, so I get emails from all the chemists and test labs every day, and then they're tracking CDC and they're tracking FDA. I mean, it's what it is. I think that they're going to have a vaccine. It looks like the initial tests are pretty good. I don't know if they'll, and I don't know if they will, but I think they're going to fast track it because if you look at fast tracking and you look at some people could have a reaction, more people are going to die if we don't have a vaccine. And
I agree completely.
Yeah, and if there's a vaccine, I swear I'm going to sign up for it right away. I'm going to be I'd rather do that, but I think that they're doing well, and there's a lot of different organizations doing vaccines. So the government's going to have a choice, and they'll look at they have a whole bunch of things they look through, like does it interact with other substances? What are the side effects? They'll go through everything, and I think they're going to get a lot of those right away. But I believe that they're going to have one and it's going to be life-saving.
Like
great.
That's just my personal opinion based on people that I hear from.
That's great.
3 months or 6 months or
I don't know. I have a feeling they're going to fast track it. It's not going to be a year. They're going to fast track it. I think it's
I think
going to
so
be,
too.
and especially if we get a second wave in the fall. And Matt, what you said about kids coming back, I mean, yeah, that's going to be like a petri dish. Seriously,
Yeah.
the U of A is going to have to do a lot of testing starting after the kids come back. And August is when they
Yeah.
come back, whenever it is.
Well, a bunch of
Yeah.
colleges have made the decision to come back and end classes Thanksgiving and not come back till the spring because they're projecting something to happen in the later fall and winter. So I'm starting to see that. I saw Purdue University, several Midwest
Yeah.
universities are going to do that.
Now, one benefit that Tucson has is you could do it outside. You can do a lot of
Yes.
things outdoors, which those of us in the north can't do anything outside during the winter. It's too cold.
That's
But,
right.
you know, those of you in climates, you know, there's some creative things that can be done outside. We're in Chicago. We're still locked down, but they are allowing restaurants to start serving June 1st or May 31st, start serving outside as long as you've got the 6 feet distance, but
Mhm.
only outside.
Wow.
I was on the board with Paul a couple days ago with the Norton School at U of A, and they have a lot of patio space, and they were thinking that
Yeah.
they could put the tables out there 6 feet apart. They can also, because they're metal, they can wash them really easily.
Right.
And I said that makes sense to me. Use the climate to your advantage, and let
I think
students.
so.
Yeah, Chicago is different. Linda, after having lived there for so long, how do you know it too? That's a whole different animal.
Well, and they got so many different issues going on with all the politics and the unions and everything else. It's just, it's really a shame. And the children with the least are the ones who are getting hurt most here.
Yeah.
They got to get back to school. They've got to get them back to school one way or another. They've got to get them back in a learning environment that's supportive of them.
That's
But,
too bad I didn't do that sooner.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I just clicked on the.
Well, I think architects are going to be very busy here in the future and
Yeah.
redesigning our campus.
Oh,
and
we are. I'm an
Well-
architectural firm. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Very
They said
good.
the air systems are one of the big things that's going to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
revamped and everything, is how to get the air out and recirculated.
I just
Yeah.
got back on seeing you all. Can you hear me and see
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
see me all. Pam, I would just like to know what you think about hydroxychloroquine.
I have no opinion. That's interesting. I study a lot and I read a lot. I have no opinion about that. My brother did take it. He was he's a geologist and he was in the Congo and he did take it and he said it was good, but I don't know personally. No opinion.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that, you know, as they've said, I think it's a decision made between a person and their doctor, not by the politicians
Yeah.
or by
Right.
the press, the media. I mean, I think that everybody's that's a personal decision that needs to be weighed, the pros and the cons and whatever else is going on between an individual and their doctor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
not part of the media deciding what's right or wrong or
And the
politicians.
politicians.
I think you're right.
I have some people coming and I've enjoyed this so much. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
So
We
good to
should do it
see
more
you.
often.
Thank you.
And we're coming up on the hour. So this is about what we said it would go to. Just, we went through the list. We're going to have a variety of presenters, and we're going to try to have some presenters from different eras, which some people come onto these calls to hear the speech, but some come on just to see Pam or the sister from your era. So,
Okay. I came on to see all of you and I loved seeing all your faces. It was lovely.
This
It
is
was
fun.
Oh,
really
Matt, you too. Hi,
Yeah.
Vicky.
Very
thanks for
This is
joining,
great.
everybody. Have a good evening.
It
Well,
was
too.
great.
This was awesome. Thank you.
For